welcome to another episode of Between Two Bunker Rakes. I'm your host, TJ Creamer. Joining us today is second assistant, irrigation tech. What other titles do you have?
I don't know. A lot. A lot
Sean
of titles.
Parker. Sean, thanks for joining us on the show today.
Hey, no problem.
So, the reason we want to talk to you is not because you're good looking.
Definitely not. No.
So, we want to talk to you about what we do on the golf course as far as irrigation maintenance, or irrigation management, water management, firmness, what kind of cool stuff that we use, drones and weather stations and moistures and furnace meters, all that kind of fun stuff. But first off, tell us about you. Tell us about your history of Victoria Golf Club.
Okay. I have essentially grown up at the club. As many of you know, my father was the head pro for many, many years, so I've grown up on the property for quite a while.
So you've got shirt folder genes.
I've tried to suppress those genes, but yeah, they're there.
Yeah.
So I think this is my 12th season on the crew here. I did 2 seasons on crew in Nova Scotia at Old Ashburn when my wife was in grad school. Yeah, so this is, I think, my 6th season as a irrigation tech. Possibly, yeah, about 6. I think so.
You're almost getting good.
You'd think I'd be better at it, but no. Yeah, so that's sort of where I'm at now.
So we talked to Paul a couple episodes ago and talked about technology, and obviously probably irrigation is one of our key factors to try and not only keep the course looking good, but playability wise. And we struggle with, I think our main challenge is trying to ride the line between aesthetics and playability. Once you get to that playability side, we get a little brown and dry, and you never know where that line is, where it kind of disappears with POA and its short roots. We're 100% POA pretty much out there. But once you get to that looking good and green and pretty side, balls don't roll out as far, balls don't bounce as far, all that kind of stuff. So our job is to continually try and ride that line, and probably the biggest factor is wind for us to do that. So
yeah. So we use many devices as far as measuring moisture goes for now. Like TJ mentioned, the drone, which is still sort of in its infancy. But until that gets completely dialed in, we use the TDR, which is a moisture sampling probe, as well as a POGO, which we use primarily on the greens, which I've gone on to their software, created some boundaries on each green so that it will actually map out and give us wet spots, dry spots, good spots. And then, what else we use?
Well, I think the most important part of this is this this week we're hosting the 2018 Canadian Mid-Amateur here at Victoria Golf Club as part of our 125-year anniversary. And the biggest thing is this isn't just something that we do this tournament week. Like, we're working extra this week. We're doing split shifts. It's 6 o'clock at night. We're getting ready to go back to work here. But this is something we're doing almost every day of the week throughout the growing season, trying to ride that line and use these devices to make those decisions better. So, so moisture meters, the TDRs, the POGOs, firmness meter. We're using our weather station. We have a Rainbird irrigation system. We use a weather station, and we use that every night. It controls fairways, tees. We're running greens off
everything.
Of ET as well. So
everything is running off of the weather station.
Yeah. So that it takes one decision kind of out of our hands. We don't let it do its thing. We're always sort of adjusting and tweaking off of what it depicts as the day's evapotranspiration rates. But that's doing the first decision making. Then we're going to these numbers that we're gathering every day. So we're gonna go on the golf course. We're gonna go to the computer here. We're gonna show you some of the Google Sheets and Google Forms stuff that we're collecting data in and being able to display graphs and charts out on the computer. And then we'll show you how we're sampling some of these things out on the golf course. So yeah.
So here we are at the irrigation computer. One of the biggest challenges, if not the biggest challenge that we have, is making our irrigation system effective in the wind, which just never stops here. So as you can see right here, we have a ton of wind alarms set up to pause and resume irrigation depending on the wind if it reaches a certain threshold. So these irrigation maps are collected from the POGO. We have a person that goes out every morning and samples the greens, and then this gives us a great visual as to what areas of the green need water and less water or more water, depending on these numbers that we get every day. And then down below here, we have this screen here, which is, this screen here, which shows us our moisture levels on greens, tees, aprons, fairways. It's giving us an average. That's the last day, so we can average out the last 10 days and just sort of show us where we're at. And that way we're not guessing with the water. We're making as little water count as much as possible. And then on the next page we have greens firmness and aprons firmness. The blue lines here are the greens firmness, and then the red is the corresponding apron firmness for that hole. The black line is sort of the threshold we'd like the firmness to be within. So as you can see, some are higher, which could indicate that we potentially have a leak, or maybe one of the heads ran too long. So that way we sort of know where we need to focus our efforts on that day as we go around. So here is the images from the drone. This is one of 3 images. This is just what you see with your naked eye. This is the NDVI image. As you can see, there's some red lines on the greens here. That is top dressing sand, as the greens were top dressed that morning. And when you go to the thermal, you can see this shows a little more of stress temperature wise. So you can see that 7 fairway is quite dry, so there's a lot of spots that need extra water. And so we would send the hand waters out there, and they would concentrate on 7 fairway with the hose a bit more.
Now those numbers aren't correlating exactly a moisture percentage. They're just telling you that area is more warm than other areas surrounding it, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not saying that red is really bad, it's just saying that red is drier than the rest of the fairway.
More warm.
Or more warm.
Yeah.
Dry, warm.
Yeah. So what we'd like is to get to a moisture percentage and say the fairway is at 18% or 25%. They're not quite there, but that's something.
So they're working on it. So hopefully next year it would be really good and dialed in. So yeah, that's it for the technology corner of the irrigation department. So a lot goes into it every day, more than just throwing water out there. So hopefully you enjoyed this episode, and you will enjoy the next episode of Between Two Bunker Rakes.